Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
Hello and welcome to Veterans Voices. I'm Nick Toma.
I'm Candace Kelly. Today we pause to recognize our veterans from across our region. Some have paid the ultimate sacrifice of war, while others continue to be the voice of veterans.
And we'll meet other veterans, family members, and volunteers who devote their time to keep veterans' voices alive for a new generation.
The 21st century has produced its share of veterans who served in the Middle East in the footsteps of their military predecessors.
The mother of a fallen northeastern Pennsylvania soldier wants all of us to keep that in mind, as 2822 Eyewitness News reporter Mark Hiller explains.
This is the Mikey I remember with that smile.
That smile belonged to Michael Cleary, the youngest of Marion and Jack Cleary's 5 children.
This was our last Christmas with Mike, right before he was deployed.
His very desire to serve sparked just a few years earlier by 9/11.
Obviously, it was still in his mind that he was going to do this.
Just 3 weeks after graduating from college, Cleary attended Army basic training.
Hard to believe, but 6 weeks of basic training are already gone. I qualified as a sharpshooter. Oh, boy.
Letters which she cherishes remind her of her son's military ambition.
He was gung-ho.
He was most definitely gung-ho.
Cleary remained stateside until that fateful January 2005 deployment to Iraq, where he served as a junior commissioned officer. He carried out the dangerous role of a sapper, a trained military munitions expert called on to clear explosives.
He truly believed he needed to serve his country. I mean, he really, truly believed he needed to do that.
During that deployment, First Lieutenant Cleary called his family and fiancée as often as possible, right up until that last call, the Monday before Christmas, 2005.
I talked to him Monday, and I just started crying, and I called Jack, and I said, Jack, he just sounds awful. He just doesn't sound right. And he was killed the next day.
A roadside bomb took his life just 10 days before he was due to come home on leave. He was 24. The Cleary family, friends, and even active military and veterans united to pay their final respects.
He really cared a lot about his family and his friends, and I think, it's kind of what led him to go over and, fight in Iraq and sacrifice his life. So hopefully he'll be remembered that way.
First Lieutenant Cleary is remembered in a lasting way by the very community which helped raise him. The soccer field where he starred as a high school athlete bears his name, and a monument also on these school grounds is dedicated in his memory. That monument is a way to remember all veterans who served, including those who gave all, like Cleary. A road in Dallas Township is also named in his honor, and there's one more tribute.
That is our young plebe.
First Lieutenant Cleary's nephew and godson, Matthew Flanagan, is a West Point plebe on a path to military service and uncertain danger.
Matthew turned around and he said, everything's going to be okay. Uncle Mike's got my back.
Veterans Day and every day, the Cleary family wants us to remember and be thankful for those who defend our freedoms.
It's because of the service that so many men and women have chosen.
Service
Be
like
it whatever,
sons.
yes. Yeah, absolutely.
For Veterans Voices in Dallas Township, Mark Hiller, 2822 Eyewitness News.
Coming up, we'll hear an incredible tale from a Marine.
And I heard a voice say, Joe, if I don't stop that bleeding, you're gonna die.
How he put pen to paper to tell a story of survival and the Navy corpsman who saved him years after the Korean War.
Plus, one woman's mission to ensure women veterans who have bravely served their country are not forgotten.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
A retired Air Force veteran is still on a mission and a rather daunting task. A biography of the 248 World War I Scranton veterans who died in service to our nation, including getting a picture of them all.
And she wants to get information on all women veterans who consider Pennsylvania home. WBRE WIOU photojournalist Joseph Butash caught up with the South Scranton native at the World War I monument at Naog Park.
I want to make sure that all of my comrades in Pennsylvania are remembered and honored for their service. When I do a tea over at Gino Murley Veterans Center to specifically honor the elderly women veterans over there, I do that so that I can salute them individually and thank them for their service, because nobody did.
It was much different after the conclusion of World War I, when in June of 1919, all of Lackawanna County participated in a parade honoring 3,000 surviving veterans. In May 1920, this memorial was placed in this field of trees at Naog Park to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice in the Great War.
I was determined that I was going to find this memorial that had women veterans listed. The 5 nurses that are listed on this, 4 of them died of Spanish influenza, and once again, a very short period of time after they got to France. What I want to do is make sure that the individuals are remembered. 248, 6 women, 242 men, and I'm going to make sure that they're remembered. Okay, that's one little thing, but I want to grow this up across my platform, which is the whole Department of Pennsylvania American Legion in the state of Pennsylvania. I am working on an effort to recognize and honor every woman veteran in the state of Pennsylvania. They are part of the reason that I had this amazing 26-year experience with the Air Force. It's going to take me at least this year to do some background research, to find people who will send me information about these people, because what I'd really like to do is make sure we had a picture of them. This is a continuation of my service in the Air Force and in the Air Force Reserve.
At Naog Park in Lackawanna County, Joseph Butash, 2822 Eyewitness News.
Janice's hope is to gather all the information on the World War I deaths from Scranton, 248 in all, including 6 women, and then pass the photos and bios on to the new National World War I Memorial in Washington, D.C.
And we have more information on Janice and her project on PAHomepage.com.
Still ahead, we will chat with a member of the greatest generation who vividly remembers Christmas in a war zone.
It was heartbreaking. I was scared as hell. I was only 18 years old.
The year was 1944 and America was at war. This Jessup native story next.
And then a local university proudly tends to the unique educational needs of those in the military through the military office.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
A Luzerne County Korean War veteran has written a book about his experience in battle and how a Navy medic saved him from certain death. In fact, the man you're about to meet came as close to death as possible on the battlefield, but he survived because of the bravery of a quick-thinking fellow soldier. And now, this Freeland resident tells his incredible story in a book that forever preserves the legacy of both men.
91-year-old Freeland resident Joe Barner recalls the day he nearly died as if it were yesterday. It was 1952, and the Marine was fighting on a hillside in Korea under heavy shelling from the enemy. Casualties were everywhere. A shell exploded nearby, and it knocked Joe on his back. Suddenly, a North Korean soldier rushed toward him, stabbing him in the arm with a bayonet. He was bleeding badly and nearly blacked out. And then, a miracle. A Navy corpsman with medical training named John Kilmer saved his life.
And I'm getting tired. I'm getting weak. All of a sudden, I'm ready to fall asleep, and I hear a voice say, "Joe, Joe, if I don't stop that bleeding, you're going to die. You're going to bleed to death.
As described in Joe's book, God Made Angels and Navy Corpsmen, the 21-year-old Kilmer carried Joe to a nearby bunker and went to work.
The one Marine held a candle, and he sewed my arm shut in a battle, needle and thread. No Novocaine, no painkiller. Wow. I didn't care. I couldn't feel nothing. But I survived.
Just 5 weeks later, in another battle, Kilmer was hit by heavy shrapnel and died as he was helping 2 wounded Marines. He was just 2 days shy of his 22nd birthday. When Joe came home a year later, the first thing he did when he got off the ship was call Kilmer's family in Michigan. Kilmer's mother answered the phone.
I told her, I told him, I love Jackie. He was the bravest man I ever met. And we both cried on the phone, you know.
Joe left the Marines in 1953, got married, and had 3 children, but he never forgot his friend he called Jackie. After retirement, he'd written dozens of articles on his Korean War experience for The Progress, a newspaper in Freeland, and eventually family and friends suggested that he try to merge them into a book. Turned out, a publisher felt it was a good idea too. Joe says he had no idea where his writing ability came from. Up until recently, the only writing he'd done was letters home from the war. But he says his book speaks for the veterans who can't, and he wanted to let people know about the bravery of one special Navy corpsman who let him live on.
I don't do it for the glory. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I'm me. I got a job to do yet. I'm not going to quit.
There is a student activity center dedicated now to John Kilmer in San Antonio, Texas. Joe recently lost his wife to Alzheimer's, and he says his goal now is to help as many veterans as he can. Candace?
Imagine being 18 years old and going thousands of miles away from your NEPA home to defend our country in a battle during the holidays. After our Veterans' Voices aired last year, the son of a Jessup veteran reached out to us to tell his father's story. 2822 Eyewitness News photojournalist Joseph Butash met with him last December and has his story.
It was heartbreaking. I was scared as hell. I was only 18 years old. I grew up in Jessup, Pennsylvania. I played baseball and everything. I loved it. I graduated from Jessup High School in 1944. 2 weeks later, I was drafted. I'm Attilio Vergari. I'm 95 years old. Took 17 weeks of basic training. We're headed for England. Well, I'm thinking, I said, will I ever see Jessup again? Now we're in Germany. One day we're on a road marching. The German planes come in and start strafing us. We ducked and everything. We were going into Saarbrück, Germany, crossing the river. We couldn't cross it because so much fire, shooting, bombs and everything. It was hectic. We're in Trier, and Trier is noted for the most ancient city in Germany. This friend of mine hit the door with the rifle and blew his head off. I had to grab him. Oh God, unbelievable. Think it was a cigar, a turkey, and everything was half frozen. We had to go in the house and heat up our helmets and eat the Christmas Eve dinner. We're up in Bastogne, and it was hell there. We're staying in this house, and before you know, a bomb came and we flew everybody out in the garden. We were out in the garden, but none of us were killed. And in March, that's when I got wounded. We wound up in a ditch, knocked out. And the first thing you know, I'm in the hospital. I'm thinking, why am I here? Why can't I be home with my parents? It was tough. It was tough. But we made it. This is why we're here today.
In early September, a night of patriotism on the football field.
The Crestwood Comets took on the Western Wayne Wildcats in honor of veterans and members of the military serving in the armed forces. This salute to service brought hundreds of people from the mountaintop community together. A presentation of colors and taps were performed by local American Legion and VFW posts. The ceremony also included a flag retirement and presentation to John Henry, the oldest living veteran in Mountaintop. And Crestwood High also recently honored a member of the elite Tuskegee Airmen.
Lieutenant Colonel James H. Harvey III, who lived in the Mountaintop area of Luzerne County, is a highly decorated Tuskegee Airman in World War II. He was also the first black jet fighter pilot to fly missions over Korean airspace.
Bloomsburg University is very proud of its commitment to students in the military and helping them with their educational journey.
And then reuniting veterans with the medals they've earned. We're going to go inside the vault in Harrisburg's Treasury Department for that story.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
Bloomsburg University is committed to helping its military and veteran students earn their degrees. The Veterans Center on campus provides programs and services designed to help them on this journey. WBRE 28, WYOU 22, Eyewitness News reporter Madonna Mantillon has more.
I would not be here at Bloomsburg University if it were not for this office and the programs that stem from here.
The Military and Veterans Resources Center at Bloomsburg University plays an important role on campus. The center tends to the unique needs of veterans and military students who are furthering their education. Fellow veterans operate the center, guiding students with their studies. Programs and services specific to the military and veteran students give them what they need to succeed on a new career path.
I have made my closest friends since exiting the military, and I've been motivated because of them, because of the resources here, to do significantly better in school than I ever had before the military.
One of those resources is the Military Academic Credit Review Board. It's an individualized process which ensures military service and experience counts as class credit. Bloomsburg University is the only college in the state that currently offers it.
I was personally able to get 37 credits from the MacRB program, which helped me cut about 1.5 years off of my college career here. So it saved me a lot of money and a lot of time and was very useful for me. And I know that it's been very useful for other students as well. So the importance of that can't be overstated.
As part of their commitment to those still in active service, students in the military office prepare care packages for peers deployed overseas and their families.
We distribute these boxes throughout the world.
The Military Resource Center at Bloomsburg University is a lifeline for the students. Many agree the guidance, programs, and friendships formed here are the stepping stones to succeed in the next chapter of their lives.
Being able to come down to the office and be with students who are like me, or it can help me as I have just started this journey. It's really helpful.
For Veterans Voices in Bloomsburg, Madonna Mantillon, 2822, Eyewitness News.
And we've set up a link for more information on Bloomsburg University's Military Center on PAHomepage.com.
A community outreach is expanding to help stop food insecurity in Scranton. Breadbasket of NEPA is helping to provide food distribution for military veterans in need. Food is being distributed weekly at VFW Post 25 on Rockwell Avenue. And while Breadbasket of NEPA has 6 food pantries throughout Lackawanna County, this is the first effort to cater specifically to military families.
They're proud vets, and it's very hard for them to ask for help, but it's a much easier way to do it at a VFW where they're comfortable.
People got to realize how bad it is out there for veterans who aren't working and don't have an income to get the food.
The free food distribution takes place Fridays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at VFW Post 25 in Scranton.
Up next, how a day on the golf course provides scholarships to family members of America's fallen and disabled service members. We learn more about the Folds of Honor next. And Patriots Cove, its mission to be a place for veterans and their families to relax and de-stress.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
A nonprofit organization in central Pennsylvania holds an annual golf tournament to raise money for spouses and children of America's fallen and disabled service members.
They say their drive to help is a fair way of chipping in towards a good cause. WBRE, WYOU Eyewitness News reporter Joe Garrison has more from the Greens in Clinton County.
More than 170 golfers hit the links at the Clinton Country Club in Mill Hall. Good ball. Long ball. The local golf tournament is part of a national organization called the Folds of Honor. They partner with the Professional Golfers Association to provide educational scholarships to military families.
Folds of Honor gives scholarships to wounded and fallen soldiers' family members. Each scholarship is a $5,000 scholarship. There's also some universities out there that with that $5,000 scholarship, their tuition is actually paid for the year.
I've given probably 12 scholarships out, if not more.
Jerry Moore's children earned scholarships through the program. The Vietnam veteran from Muncie says he is happy to be out on the golf course, thanking everyone who supports military families.
It's just a good place to be. It's a great day for them. And the end result is 5 or 6 more kids will get scholarships through this tournament.
More than 35,000 scholarships have been awarded since the national program began in 2007. Chris Spangler of Montgomery started playing in the local tournament when it teed off 6 years ago.
You know, golf's fun as it is on its own, but to be able to benefit for a cause like this, you know, we're out having a good time golfing, but knowing that we're able to put some scholarships through just is a feeling that makes you feel good about it in the process.
John Heist is with the Montoursville American Legion, one of the many local sponsors of the tournament. They say while the golfers do keep score, the real winners are the military families.
Oh, yes!
It's beautiful, it's fun, it's a good time, the camaraderie with everybody and having a good time, and we're doing great things for charity.
For Veterans Voices in Clinton County.
There it is.
Woo! Joe Garrison, WBRE 28, WYOU 22, Eyewitness News.
You gotta hit the flagstick.
This year's event raised more than $20,000 for the program.
Their 6-year total now stands at just over $75,000, and that's enough money to fund 15 scholarships.
It's a universal symbol of thanks and remembrance to those who've served in harm's way.
Yeah, they're called Quilts of Honor, and now a local group from Schuylkill County is hoping to present more of the gifts of comfort to our heroes.
They're quilts of valor, beautiful, handmade, and each representing the sacrifice of our local veterans. Organizers with the Schuylkill County Jefferson Grange say it's a way to honor veterans who might not otherwise receive recognition. Army veteran Lynn Bodenberg was a quilt recipient this summer. He says it's a great way to honor not only our veterans, but the community as a whole.
We should all be involved in our community and help our community brothers and sisters, neighbors, in order to make their lives better, to make our community better.
Quilts of Valor are awarded to veterans or active duty members of the military who've been touched by war. Some of the quilts are made locally, but the Jefferson Grange accepts quilt sections from the Grange network all over the country, piecing them together here at home. Organizers have given away 10 quilts this year, and they plan on another 6 closer to Veterans Day. Younger Grange members are also helping out, learning the true value of service to community.
My job is to not only present the quilts to the recipients, but I do a lot of research in the community, looking to see who has served, people who have been touched by war.
If you're a local quilter and you'd like to contribute, we've listed the contact information for the Jefferson Grange on PAHomepage.com under the Veterans Voices section.
It's a unique way for veterans to de-stress.
It's a walk around a labyrinth. We're going to meet the men behind this modern touch on an age-old idea a bit later.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
Healing the hearts of veterans by connecting them with the outdoors. That's the mission of a nonprofit in Wyoming County that continues to expand its programs. WBRE 28, WYOU 22. Eyewitness News reporter Cody Butler spoke with some of our heroes as they look to bag a big buck.
Patriots Cove continuously changes to fit the needs of veterans. Tim Middleton sights in his crossbow for the deer, turkey, and bear hunting season, an activity added to the Cove.
I'm going to shoot what comes across. I'm not looking for a trophy. I want to take home a cooler full.
This is Middleton's first time hunting in decades.
Been a long time since I've hunted, and I don't really remember too much about it.
The Cove's founders, Jeff and his wife Melissa Swire, turned their 30-acre land into a place to host veterans and first responders, healing their hearts and mind with camaraderie between men and women who share so much in common, all while partaking in outdoor activities.
To spend that time that we need together to find resources, to find the strength within each other, to keep moving forward in our lives.
4 veterans, 3 from North Carolina and 1 from Pennsylvania, will hunt 4 days.
There's four other properties, 4 different landowners that are supporting this operation with almost a total of 400 acres of usable property.
It's going to be a great experience, and I'm pretty sure that I got confidence all of them's going to get something.
Michael Ivey has got a glimpse at what might come his way. Trail cameras have been set up to capture wildlife in the area. Volunteers built food plots and installed shooting huts, some of them handicap accessible.
It's going to be an enjoyable event, and we're just trying to make it to where they're going to have a good time.
When not hunting, veterans can enjoy the calm and peacefulness that Patriots Cove offers.
Just come sit down by the stream. It relaxes you. It gives you that peace.
For Veterans Voices in Knoxon Township, Cody Butler, 2822 Eyewitness News.
And Patriots Cove continues to look for new programs to attract veterans with different interests in an effort to heal as many men and women who served our country. Another favorite getaway for disabled veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families is Camp Freedom in Carbondale. Matt Geddes is the executive director of Camp Freedom, which he helped start back in 2018. There are some 1,800 acres of land for camping, fishing, and hunting with easy access to the Lackawanna River. And they're just about finished installing a wheelchair-accessible archery range.
We decided that we would want to target 2 true groups of heroes, our veterans and our first responders. And so we made them the target because they're 2 areas of our community that are so underserved and have struggled because they're constantly in the midst of trauma.
Camp Freedom is always in need of volunteers, so if you're interested, head over to pahomepage.com and find out how you can help. A local artist wanted to do something special to pay tribute to her military grandfather, so she designed a delicate piece of art for her local American Legion post.
Now I'm removing the wax to reveal the design.
Michelle Argust makes Hungarian Pasanki Easter eggs as a hobby, but her work has a serious side. She created a series of eggs for the American Legion Post 173 and Tamaqua, one for each branch of the military. The work honors her grandfather, who fought at the Battle of the Bulge and in northern France during World War II. Joseph Soika received 3 Bronze Stars and eventually settled in Klein Township.
It will look good in a display case, and it will be displayed proudly, and hopefully for years to come so others can see.
Argust recently added to the Legion's donation display with an egg honoring the American Legion Auxiliary. She learned the craft from her grandmother when she was young, a tradition in Ukraine. Over the years, the designs became more involved.
As I got older, I decided to kind of master the craft and make various designs over the years. So I've been doing it probably 35, 40 years.
The American Legion was founded in 1919, just a few years before her grandfather was born. So she asked the post's commander what she could do to honor both, and that's how the Pasanki egg donation started.
Michelle definitely displays an incredible talent to pull off these eggs the way she does. Incredible detail. If you do stop in and you have the opportunity to look at them up close and personal, you will see the detail that goes into this type of work. It's truly incredible that somebody takes the time to do something of this magnitude.
Soika passed away in 2001, but Michelle says his memory lives on in her heart. Medals lost and waiting to be found.
They're largely from abandoned safe deposit boxes. So folks that, didn't know, that they had military decorations, and they're usually from relatives that have passed.
We will go inside the vaults in Harrisburg, where the Treasury Department is hoping to reunite those medals with veterans and their families.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
Pennsylvania Treasury officials are trying to reach families who may have unclaimed property now being held by the state. State officials say there's around $4 billion worth of unclaimed property.
And recently, the I-Team gained rare access to a place called the Vault. And that's where much of the unclaimed property is being stored, including many veterans' medals. WBRE 28, WYOU 22, Eyewitness News I-Team reporter Andy Michalczyk has our story from Harrisburg.
Treasury officials, of course, say they want to return all the unclaimed property to their rightful owners, especially military medals and decorations like this Purple Heart. They come from just about every war, more than 600 military medals and other items. The Treasury Department's mission, return them to their rightful owners.
To date, we've returned 370. We still have 659 left to go. We're just in the process of returning 72 military decorations to 11 service members or their families.
Treasurer Stacy Garrity showed us around the vault. She says all of the unclaimed property in the so-called vault is important, but especially these military medals.
Of course, you can't put a price tag on these military decorations. Right now we have 13 Purple Hearts, we have 3 Bronze Stars, we have a Meritorious Service Medal, we have many, many campaign medals, dog tags, and other items.
And where do they come from?
They're largely from abandoned safe deposit boxes. So folks that, didn't know, that they have military decorations, and they're usually from relatives that have passed.
So what should families do if they think there may be medals here that belongs to a loved one?
So if you go right to our website, which I mentioned, patreasury.gov/unclaimed property, we have a tab for military decorations, and it is actually sorted by county.
Treasury officials say don't assume that you don't have any unclaimed property. Check it out. It may just be worth the effort. For Veterans Voices in Harrisburg, I'm Andy Michalczyk, 2822 Eyewitness News.
For more information on how you can track down unclaimed property, go to PAHomepage.com.
We invite you to join us every day during our 5:30 newscast on WBRE for Veterans Views. Vietnam veteran Judge Tom Munley and his team will answer your questions about issues concerning our veterans. And you can submit a question by calling our Veterans Views hotline, and you can see the segments on PAHomepage.com.
A military chaplain talks about his experience during a difficult time in America.
One day at Arlington stands out more than anything else, and that was Tuesday morning, September 11th, 2001.
We'll meet Chaplain Jim May when Veterans Voices returns.
And we invite you to watch our Newsmakers program on PAHomepage.com. Hosts Jane Ann Bugda and Andy Michalczyk sit down with the Pennsylvania Department of Veterans Affairs to talk over its many programs and services for our area veterans. And again, more information on veterans programs and services can be found on PAHomepage.com.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
20 years ago, millions watched in horror and disbelief as the tragic events of 9/11 unfolded on our TV screens.
In New York City, we saw many people running away from the scene at the World Trade Center, but one man ran toward the danger. 2822 Eyewitness News reporter Chris Bohinski has the story of the chaplain who walked with faith that day.
Do you remember praying that day?
We all prayed that day. We did.
In July 2000, after military assignments in places like South Korea, Germany, and the Tobyhanna Army Depot, Colonel Jim May was assigned to Arlington National Cemetery as their senior Army chaplain.
I did 4 to 6 funerals every day for 3 years, figuring maybe around 3,000 funerals altogether that we conducted.
For most of us 20 years ago, the day started out just like any other.
One day at Arlington stands out more than anything else, and that was Tuesday morning, September 11th, 2001. As I was doing the service, there was a helicopter that was flying overhead, heading for the Pentagon, landing at the Pentagon, which is right bordering where the Arlington Cemetery is.
Thinking it was more routine than anything else, Jim gathered his belongings after a morning's funeral.
By the time I got back to my office, which was just less than a quarter of a mile, there were people standing outside looking up and kind of aghast.
When Jim looked up as well, he knew something was wrong.
A huge, huge plume of smoke that was rising from the Pentagon.
Jim felt compelled to head to the building.
I made my way over to the Pentagon.
And so did many of Washington, D.C.'s military chaplains and ministers who walked with faith into the Pentagon that day.
I didn't sense any danger at all. I mean, I sensed tragedy.
Over the course of the next few weeks, Jim presided over 7 individual funerals of people who lost their lives in the Pentagon that day. 1 year later, along with many of the nation's leaders, Jim prayed over the casket that included the commingled remains of 185 of the Pentagon's victims.
And I think an event like September 11th helps us as a nation to focus on what is important. And I think on that day and for several weeks afterwards, there was a great emphasis on unity and strength and even turning to God.
Reporting in Luzerne County, I'm Chris Bohinski, WBRE 28, WYOU 22, Eyewitness News.
The VFW Post 7251 out of Troop has a new place to call home.
In October, the members officially opened the doors of their new post. The former Troop VFW Post was built back in 1949 and it had been deteriorating, and the post's members saw the need for a new facility.
Sad to see this go after, you know, being around since I think the 40s this building was built, but to see our ability to come together as a post and build that new building, I have so much pride in everybody that's been around. It's fantastic.
I've embraced my younger veterans, my Afghan veterans and other ones that are just coming back. So we have several new young veterans that are getting involved. I anticipate good things for the post. It's going to be great for the troop community. It's going to be great for everyone.
The updated features include the new state-of-the-art kitchen, better TVs, a game room, as well as an outside deck that overlooks the Lackawanna River.
Clearing your head with a simple walk. 2
veterans, a scout troop, and a big box store joining forces in a unique venture. Next.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
There's a new sanctuary for local veterans to help them cope with post-traumatic stress disorder. And what's different about this one is that it's in the shape of a maze.
Technically, it's a labyrinth, a type of wandering path, but it's helping everyone from veterans to first responders cope with stress.
Inside the Luzerne County Fairgrounds is a wandering path with a purpose. It was designed and built with the help of a local scout troop, Home Depot, and a pair of veterans who wanted to make a difference. The labyrinth can be used in different ways, for prayer, for meditation, or for a simple walk to air your thoughts. The idea is to make a physical act a mental release or stress release.
We encourage people who are walking the labyrinth to carry a symbol of their burdens, of their stresses with them into the center of the labyrinth. And once they lay that object down to show a physical release.
Pim is an Iraq War veteran with 2 tours under his belt. He truly believes a labyrinth like this one helped him recover, and now he wants to pass the therapy on to others. The concept isn't new. Native Americans call it a medicine wheel, and it's been a spiritual tool for thousands of years. Fellow Iraq War veteran Richard Blaine says the labyrinth works because it helps people realize they're not alone in their struggles.
For each of those people to see that they're not the only ones that are dealing with it and struggling with it, that's what helps us to come together as a family, as a community.
A local veteran support group meets for coffee and campfire the last Saturday of each month at the Luzerne County Fairgrounds in Lehman Township.
And join me each Friday during our newscasts at 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. for Veterans Voices, stories of inspiration and information for our local veterans. We want to thank you for joining us for this tribute to our area veterans. We thank each and every one of you for your service.
And we have many more stories on PAHomepage.com under the Veterans Voices link. Thank you for joining us. I'm Candace Kelly.
And I'm Nick Toma. Have a great evening.